Well, we are bringing you the first live television interview with an Iranian official since this conflict began. I'm joined by Esmaeil Baghaei. He's the spokesperson for Iran's foreign ministry. Mr. Baghaei, thank you for being with us here on Al Jazeera. I'm going to start by asking you for your assessment of regional stability at the moment. How concerned are you that this could broaden into a regional war?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First, I think we have to understand what is going on. This is a war of aggression, full stop. My country has become under an attack by a genocidal occupying regime, and I think this aggression should be seen in continuation of an already devastating war that has been imposed on Gaza, on Lebanon, on Syria, and other countries of the region. So this is a war of aggression, and what we are doing as Iran is defending ourselves with all force.
Are you open to a diplomatic solution given the potential devastating consequences of continuing this conflict or having it broaden?
Yeah, the point is that whatever happens, today is the 6th day of our national defense against this aggression. And I think this is not only a war on Iran, this is a war on one of the most historic civilizations of the world. This is a war on the whole region. Israel has been trying all along to drag other countries, including the United States, into its filthy war against the countries in the region. So we have to be careful. All the countries in the region must be careful. And I really here have to appreciate the condemnation of this attack by all countries in the region. That has been very responsible. I think the countries of the region, our brothers and sisters in the Arab world, in the Islamic world, have fully recognized the evil of this war and the fact that Benjamin Netanyahu and those who are supporting Israel are trying to drag the whole region and beyond into a very devastating war with everlasting consequences for everyone in the region.
You spoke about the potential consequences for regional partners. Obviously, a number of Iran's regional partners do host American bases. If the Americans do enter this conflict, can you confirm what you would be willing to do on the soil of any of your regional partners if an attack is launched from a US base on their soil?
Iran has been a very responsible actor in the region. You can see our very good relations with the countries in the region, and that's one of the reasons why the countries in the region have come with one voice in condemning this atrocious attack against Iran. And we really appreciate that. And at the same time, I'm sure that our neighbors, our Arab neighbors, our Muslim neighbors, recognize the fact that Israel has been trying to fight its cruel wars at the expense of others. And I think any American intervention would be a recipe for an all-out war in the region with very, very bad consequences for the whole international community.
Would you, just for clarity, would you target a US base in another country, say an Arab country nearby, if an attack was launched from that US base?
As I told you already, we have very good relations with our Arab countries, and I think they are very careful, they are very cognizant of the fact that Americans, especially, Israelis, have been trying to drag others into their war. And the point is that under international law, no country is allowed to provide its territory for any abuse by any warring party. And we are sure that our Arab countries that are hosting American bases would not allow their territory to be used against their Muslim neighbor. That would be, they know, that would be the point that Israel and their supporters really love to see.
Would you, just for clarity as well, sir, would you attack any US base within your reach in the region, regardless of if there was an attack launched from it? Would all US bases become a target if the US enters this conflict?
As I told you, right now, we focus on defending ourselves from the attack by Israel. And that's why we have been very careful. We have been very responsible, very calculated in our response to these attacks. We have targeted military bases, security bases inside the occupied lands. For the time being, we are focused on that. And as I told you, under international law, no country has any legal basis to allow any third party to abuse its territory against another country. And I trust that the understanding between Iran and our neighbors is that they would not allow any third party to abuse their territory.
Okay, sir, I'm going to go back to my previous question, which was a diplomatic solution. Is Iran at the moment open to any kind of negotiation or a conversation about trying to end this conflict?
Diplomacy never ends, that's for sure. But the point is that this war was imposed on Iran in the midst of a diplomatic process. We were supposed to be in Muscat on Sunday, and Israelis started this egregious act of aggression early Friday. So 2 days before a pre-scheduled negotiations, they started this war. And I think it by itself says many things, that Iran has always been for diplomacy, for dialogue, and those who have been enemy to any such dialogue and understanding that started this war, they put everyone in a sort of fait accompli situation. So I think right now we have to concentrate on fighting our enemy, defending our territory, defending our people. As you know, there have been hundreds of innocent people who have been killed by Israeli strikes against hospitals. They also attacked our national TV station, and I think Al Jazeera can easily understand what I'm saying, because you have lost so many journalists. At least 5 journalists from Al Jazeera have been killed by Israel. Many of radio and TV stations have been attacked by them. So no civilian have been spared in Iran. They have been attacking residential areas. They have been attacking hospitals. So we have to focus on defending our territory and our national integrity.
Sir, if the US President, Donald Trump, goes through with his suggestion of sending his Vice President, J.D. Vance, and his Middle East Special Envoy, Steve Witkoff, to have a conversation with Iran, directly or indirectly, would you be willing to engage with the US at this stage?
As I told you, diplomacy never ends.
Could you then...
Our people, our brave soldiers are fighting this imposed war. And at the same time, our diplomacy is at work.
I understand that you feel that you're defending Iran and you're still engaging diplomatically. Mm-hmm. Do you feel at this stage that you can trust the Americans to control Israeli actions?
Not really. Because, as I told you, we were in the middle of negotiations. And all of a sudden, Israel started attacking Iran. And no one can imagine in our region, not only in Iran, that Israel started this war without prior green light by the United States. So I think what is at stake is the credibility of a country that is supposed to be a global power. What is at stake is the international law that has been almost annihilated for the past 2 years because of all of these atrocities that have been committed in occupied Palestine, in Lebanon, in Syria, and elsewhere. So I think the whole international community, in particular those who are members of the Security Council, must shoulder their responsibility and have to act in order to stop this aggression.
Sir, if you say that you can't trust the Americans to keep Israel in line, and it's the Americans who are potentially going to be engaging with you diplomatically on trying to end this conflict, do you then see no diplomatic solution with the Americans?
We will do everything at our disposal to end this imposed war. So I do not reject any possibility. If we find any possibility to defend ourselves, if we can, that's why we have outreach to the Security Council, because that's where the United Nations has to act in accordance with Chapter 7. United States and other 4 members of the Security Council, the veto members, are part of this responsibility. So the United States, as a member of the UN Security Council, cannot go away, cannot shoulder away its responsibility. So both individually, all countries that are member of the UN, they have responsibility individually and collectively as part of the UN Security Council and United Nations.
So you spoke about the Security Council there. Russia is a powerful member of that council. Are you engaging with Moscow?
We are in contact with all countries, with our friends in the region and beyond. We have been talking to many countries for the past 4 days, because we think this is not a war only on Iran. This is a war on the United Nations, on the principles of the United Nations that has been the framework of international relations for the past 8 decades. And I think every country that claims to be genuine about the rule of international law, about human rights, about humanitarian law, must stand up to this unjust war. They have to act. That's why we are reaching out to almost each and every country to make sure that they are aware of their responsibility with respect to this egregious act of aggression.
So you say that you've been speaking to the Russians. What have the Russians been telling you about this conflict?
I think they have been clear, not only Russia, other countries, including in the region, they have all condemned this aggression, because let's call a spade a spade. This is an act of aggression, an unprovoked act of aggression. They have been trying to justify this aggression as preemptive strike. Preemptive about what? We don't have any such things as preemptive self-defense under international law. That's a very malign excuse to attack other countries.
So we've heard plenty of condemnation from a number of countries, as you say, but condemnation isn't quite the same as support. Do you feel that you're getting enough support from your allies?
It's not enough, of course, but any action should come after such condemnation, or at the same time that this act is being recognized as an act of aggression. We expect each and every country that feels responsible toward international peace and security, that feels responsible toward its commitment under the UN Charter and Geneva Convention to act in accordance with their responsibilities.
Sir, I'm going to press you on this. Exactly what kind of support, if any, has Moscow promised Iran?
As I told you, we are in contact with each and every country, including Russia, China, because they are permanent members of the Security Council. And we expect everyone that has a leeway, that has a mandate under the UN Security Council to act, to help having a resolution in condemnation of this attack. You know, we have an already adopted resolution in 1981, Resolution 487, that was adopted when Iraqi nuclear installations was attacked by Israel. So there is a clear mandate for the UN Security Council, and at the same time, under Article 99 of the United Nations Charter, the Secretary General has a very clear responsibility to call for an urgent meeting of the Security Council and to do something. So this is our expectation, but at the same time, we rely on ourselves and we defend our security, our national integrity, and our territory.
I understand that Beijing is now evacuating Chinese nationals from Iran. You've spoken about China coming out in condemnation of Israel's actions as well. Do you feel that you're receiving any support from China?
Sorry, I didn't get it.
I believe that Chinese nationals are currently being evacuated from Iran, and I'm wondering about the level of support you are receiving at the moment from Beijing.
As I told you, we are in contact with almost all countries, including China and Russia, and we are trying our best in order to mobilize international community's unified response against this act of aggression. You talked about evacuation. Again, this is a manifestation of war crimes that the aggressor is trying to coerce Iranians, is trying to coerce Iranians out of the cities, and then to attack residential areas and our cities. This is a clear indication of their intention to commit further war crimes as part of this aggression against Iran.
In trying to end this conflict, US President Donald Trump has said that he would require a complete surrender from Iran. So let me start by asking you there, would you be willing to give up your nuclear program if that means that this will stop?
We are a country of hundreds and hundreds of civilization. We have been in this part of the world for millennia. We have not attacked any country. We are under attack with the pretext of our peaceful nuclear program. And today, you saw Director General Grossi's interview with CNN. He clearly said they didn't have any proof substantiating Iran's moving toward any nuclear weapon. So I think all of these pretexts have been simply an instrument to legitimize their aggression against Iran. Our nuclear program has been completely peaceful. It has been under the most robust inspection by the IAEA, and even no IAEA report has any time said Iran is deviating from peaceful purposes. So I think this all came as part of their continuing pretext to demonize Iran and to provide the ground for such horrible aggression against my country.
So you're speaking there about objectives and incentives. I'm asking if you are willing to engage diplomatically, which you say you are you willing to give up the nuclear program? Regardless of its objectives, are you willing to give up the nuclear program in order to move beyond this conflict and for this conflict to end?
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about, really. Because, as I said, our nuclear program has been part and parcel of our right under the NPT. So we have not done anything wrong under international law. Our nuclear program started in 1950s, and it has continued for the past 5 decades completely peaceful. So, and I think instead of this question, you have to ask this question from the custodians of the NPT, why they allowed Israel to attack our peaceful installation. This is completely banned under international law. This is completely criminal. And in accordance with Resolution 533 of IAEA's board, any attack or even the threat of attack against peaceful installation of a country constitutes a threat to peace and security. Now, we are witnessing a serious breach of peace. This is an act of aggression. So I think the international community has to make Israel and its supporters accountable for what they have done as part of their aggression against Iran.
Sir, if diplomatic efforts fail and the war extends, the US enters the war, what kind of action are you considering? You've spoken about potentially targeting US bases in the region. Would you also be considering action in the Strait of Hormuz?
As I told you, I'm not going to talk about our methods of war. The point is that we are defending our land. We are defending our national security with all force. The point is that there is no reason for any other party to enter into Israel's war on Iran. We are defending ourselves against a blatant act of aggression that was imposed on Iran by Israeli regime. And I think it would be extremely reckless, extremely irresponsible for any other party to engage in this aggression. We know Israelis have already been using many parts of Israel has been using information, intelligence, and other weaponry from the United States and other some European countries. That's for sure. But any direct engagement by any other country, that would, as I told you, that would be an invitation to a full-scale conflict that would engulf all the region and even will go beyond that. So instead of threatening Iran with other countries participating in this aggression, I think any responsible member of the international community has to act before it's too late to stop the aggression, to rein in the blatant acts of continuing aggression by Israel that has been really inflicting upon our region so much misery and problem for the past 8 decades, particularly for the past 2 years. They started from Gaza. They are still committing a genocide there. Then they occupied parts of Arab lands in Syria, in Lebanon, and now they are coming to another country of the region. They would not stop here. They would not even stop in our region. Mark my words. They would not stop here if you do not rein in their vicious demands.
Esmaeil Baghaei, the spokesman of Iran's foreign ministry. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Thank you for joining us here on Al Jazeera.
Shukran.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.